Hey everybody, I'm Brian Clapp, VP of Content and Engaged Learning at workinsports.com, and this is the Work in Sports Podcast. Let's get into today's question. I'm going to read this now. Hi Brian, my name is Joanna, and I am a college freshman who was introduced to your podcast this year by one of my professors. That's awesome, Joanna. I love it. I have learned so much. Funny story, I swear my professor takes your ideas and talks about them in the classroom like they are his. I think he forgets that he told us all to subscribe and listen to your show. That is kind of funny, Joanna. I enjoyed that. I do have a question, though, and I hope you can get to it. As I mentioned, I'm a freshman, and since I am paying for my college, I want to make sure I get the most out of this experience. If you were going to set a strategy for a freshman in college to make sure they get the most out of their college experience and really, yes, there were 3 reallys in her email, make the most out of their 4 years, what would you advise I focus on? Joanna, this is a big question, but you're in luck because I love big questions. I have 5 big concepts, so let's get into them. Number 1, during your freshman year, start to narrow down your main focuses and interests. As I was starting to say earlier, just saying you want to work in sports is not specific enough and doesn't set you up for success. You need to start right now understanding what real options are out there and the demands of these roles. You need to educate yourself in a specific and actionable way. The choices you make as an athletic trainer versus a sports marketer will be incredibly different. And if you don't know that yet, you have to start to figure that out. The earlier you can figure out what interests you and what direction you want to head, every decision you make afterwards will start to make more sense and fit in strategically. I don't want you to just go through the motions without thinking bigger about where you want to end up. If you go into college and just say, these are my required classes, I have to do these things, I have to do these things to graduate, I have to do internships to graduate, and then I'll be done. That's not going to be specific enough for our industry. You need to start understanding where your fit will be. I did not turn off my notifications. You may have just heard that, and I wonder if that was Adam Schefter. I wonder what the Patriots have done now. I just finished learning that they signed Jonnu Smith, and that made me happy. Okay, getting off track. So I want you to start to think about what you want so that you can make smart choices based on where you want to end up. And I know this sounds kind of cheesy and I'm not big into cheesy sayings, but if you don't know what your goal is, you have no chance at hitting the target. Like if you don't have a target, you can't hit it. So you have to have a target and say to yourself, okay, I've put some work in, I've researched different jobs, I've looked at different types of opportunities in the sports industry, and sports marketing just sounds so cool to me. Awesome. That's progress. Now every decision you start to make afterwards will make more sense. So start getting that now. What I would try to give you as a timeline is that ideally by the end of your sophomore year, you'll be able to say, okay, I want to work in sports marketing or sports operations or sports technology or become a sports agent. You'll have something, right? You'll have something more specific by the end of your sophomore year. So right now you're research mode, you're exploring, you're discovering, you're checking things out, right? So start researching, understanding what's out there, see what interests you. By the time you hit junior year, you want to be choosing internships that match your goals. You want to be choosing specific classes that fit the skill profile for what is demanded of these roles and who you want to be. You want to start being strategic about what additional skills you learn and what other optional courses you can take, electives that fit into that profile of where you want to end up. So like you might see, again, I use Photoshop as an example a lot because it's easy, but Adobe Premiere Pro is one of, oh, there it goes again. Now it's Ian Rappaport tweeting about significant news. I have to shut off my phone before I start recording. But now I'm going to be thinking about what that significant news could be. Darn it. Anyway, okay. I'm focused on you. So goal, researching in freshman year, right? Really trying to understand things. Clarity by the end of sophomore year, really trying to know what feels right to you. Actions taken by junior year. Okay. So internship choices and more that start to fit in with that bigger plan you have for yourself. Okay. Number 2, make a plan for experience. What I mean is, again, this is contingent upon knowing what you want to pursue. So you start there. Everything's building upon itself. But really, Joanna, if you look at your resume right now, it's probably pretty light. You can't go out and apply for jobs even if you wanted to because you don't have any real experience. I know my freshman year of college, my resume would have said golf caddy, which means I'm qualified to be a golf caddy. And that's not going to help me very much. So Your goal is to gain experiences that fill up that resume and match the demands of your chosen path. You should have a mix of internship experiences, skills you have mastered, clubs you are part of, volunteer opportunities, and more. Have it in your mind that the activities you choose to do are going to be represented on your resume. They are going to have enough meat on the bone and enough importance to who you want to be that they're going to fit with that profile. They're going to fill in some of those gaps on your resume. Now, that's not saying you can't be on the club ultimate frisbee team and have some fun. Of course, you need to do that kind of thing. But the majority of your activities need to be focused on your ultimate goal, which is turning your college experience into being an awesome job candidate by the time you graduate, right? Gaining that experience. So have a plan and go about that. Number 3, network like a boss. Like seriously, set a goal for yourself to connect with people in your chosen industry. And I don't mean just the sports industry. I mean specifically to the vertical that you've kind of chosen. Sports sales, sports marketing, sports operations, whatever it is, okay? Notice everything I'm saying here builds off of knowing who you want to be, which was that first tip. It doesn't make a ton of sense to spend a lot of time and effort networking with the athletic department at your school's director of player development if that's not somewhere you're really interested in going. Yes, it may help. They may know people. They may be able to connect you. It may be a good way to learn things. I'm not saying don't do that kind of thing, but don't do it instead of networking with people in your lane. So target the right people. Find people doing entry-level versions of the roles that interest you. You want to work in sports operations? Reach out to people working as an operations coordinator in the minor leagues or in pro sports or in college sports. Start locally. Look at those teams around you. Network with them, right? Start there. Start a dialogue. Ask thoughtful questions. Interact. Find out how they got their first job. Work at it. Networking is not just add water. Number 4, make educated decisions about your activities. This is something I talk about all the time. And I'm not going to go into it in great depth because it's something I talk about so much, but I'm going to give you the highlight. Okay. You've determined in step 1 what kind of interests you, and that may change, that may pivot. I get that. But what you need to do next after you figure out what interests you and you start building up your experience and you start building your network, you need to really identify those skills that are in demand for the market you've chosen to get into. Again, I hammer this all the time because not enough people do it. But if you look at job descriptions, they will literally tell you exactly the skills they want of somebody they're going to hire to do this role. If you've determined you want to work in sports marketing, go look at 10 different marketing coordinator jobs across pro teams, minor league teams, agencies, whatever, advertising firms, all of it. Look at marketing coordinator roles. Read through and understand what skills that they're saying they want. When we hire this person, we want them to have these 10 skills. You put together a game plan of acquiring those skills. Those are the things you need to do while you're in college. Learn those skills. YouTube videos, taking classes, whatever you have to do in order to learn it and to be able to exemplify it. During your internships, make strategic choices that will let you learn some of these things. Emphasize your intern coordinator. If there's an opportunity, I'd really love to learn how to use Microsoft Dynamics because I saw this as being an important part of the marketing industry. Whatever it is, make sure you put the effort into learning those skills that match where you want to end up. Being intentional about your choices, looking at every opportunity and every choice as a building block towards where you want to eventually end up. That will put you ahead of 95% of the people out there. I am serious. I'm not even joking. Number 5. You see that? If you're on the YouTube channel, you just saw me kind of do a 45. Number 45. Okay. 5, work on your soft skills and how to leverage them. So many people in hiring say that they are looking for soft skills even more than hard skills. Now, I don't fully think they're being 100% honest when they say that. I think from experience, the only way you get noticed for jobs is if you have and meet the minimum requirements first. You have the skills, and then soft skills come into play in the final hiring decisions. Like they're judging you versus the other person, and I think this person has more leadership skills or whatever. But I digress. Quick definition. Hard skills. I know Photoshop. Soft skills. I have great work ethic, passion, and I'm a leader. See the difference, right? Hard skills, I can do this thing. Soft skills is more personality based. Okay. So headline after all of that digression is that soft skills are important, right? They can be a final deciding tool. So how do you develop them? They work in conjunction with experience. You only learn work ethic and passion and leadership by being in a position to experience those things, to learn from others, to see how other leaders act, to incorporate some of those things. So put yourself in those positions. Look for leadership roles. Maybe you learn by failing some. That's okay too. That is actually a good thing. You will learn by failing. Prove yourself on an internship by putting in extra effort. Just saying you work hard isn't going to move the needle. Having an example showing a time that you worked hard is more effective. Just saying you're good at problem solving isn't as powerful as having an example of a time you were going to miss a deadline due to a technical failure, but figured out a workaround under pressure. Saying you are good at time management is not as powerful as saying being a student athlete and sharing how you kept good grades despite training and traveling and playing and practice and schedules and all that other good stuff. Experiences lead to soft skill development and give you a story to tell, which makes you more powerful in number 6. Practice interviewing. Practice interviewing. You can do everything right. You can gain the right experience. You can build a great network. You can have a great resume. Cover letter looks perfect. Your personal brand is on point. You can have incredible soft skills. But if you get in front of people, video, phone, face-to-face, and you can't interview well, you will not get the job. Interviewing is that final threshold you have to be able to cross over. And the only way you get good at it is by doing it often, practicing, or like just getting out there and being out there. Practice phone call and video interviews. Work on your eye contact. Like if you're on a video interview, you're looking at the camera lens, not at your screen. You're looking at the camera lens, not at yourself. There is a difference there. You're making eye contact. You guys watching on our YouTube channel right now feel like I am looking at you because I'm looking at my camera, not at my screen, right? Doesn't it feel like we're connecting? Hi. Okay, so work on eye contact. Research commonly asked questions and press yourself on how you would handle them. Practice reciting some of your stories and exampling how your work ethic came through in your various experiences. Most of all, and this is incredibly important, be authentic. Don't try to be a second-rate version of who you think the interviewer wants you to be. Be you. You are the person they want to know better, not who you think they want you to be. Yeah, I think I got that out right. So those are 6 tips that if Joanna, if you're in college and you're a freshman and you start to look at these things, we framed your mind around this conversation to say, these are the things I need to focus on. If you do these things, you will be in incredible position. So focus here, try to get those things moving in the right direction. And I think you'll be in a really, really good spot by the time you get to the end of your journey.